one that you have a favorite chapter in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, and that sometimes it's done like just for a period that you're there. Because I think this chapter is a little bit technical. It's about the Admirama verse of Sanatana Kusama.
Okay, so we'll read that. I mean, you're reading in sequence, right?
Yeah.
In order.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we'll read the Admirama verse. You're in, where the bookmarker is, that's where you are?
Yeah.
Do you know which verse?
No, I don't know which.
If you look at the page, can you see?
But
who was reading last?
On top of the left page.
Huh?
On top of the left page, so the beginning. Like
Oh, you mean on the bottom of the last page?
no, like here. Starting here.
Okay, all right. Well, that's not the, that's, okay, on the top of it, all right. Okay. Bandeham Shri Guru Shiyata Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sya Shirupam Sagrajatam Saganaraganatam Bitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shirana Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shivishakam Vidam Sya Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnana Jana Shalaka Chakshurun Milidam Yena Tasma Shri Gurave Namah Gorba Bhistam Supurkam Gurganara Sisha Sambhushitam Chintya Chintya Samasta-veda Nipanam Shirupa Patanagam Govinda Vidam Ujwalam Bharatanum Bhaktiyan Vidam Sundaram Bande Vishwagurun Shah Divyat Bhagavat Premna Vibija Pradam Devam Divyatanum Suchandabaranam Balarka Chilanchitam Sandrananda Puram Sadeka Baranam Vairagya Vidyam Buddhim Sri Siddhanta Nidhim Subhakti Lasitam Saraswatanam Baram Bandetam Shivaram Madeka Sharanam Nyashishvara Shridharam Sri Siddhanta Saraswati Vidito Goriya Gorbanvai Mato Banoriva Prabhata Gagane Yogora Sankirtanai Mayavada Tamingi Lodaragatan Udritya Jivaniman Krishna Prema Sudabdi Gahana Sukam Pradat Prabhum Tambaje Mansha Kopatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Bhyevacha Patitanam Pavenibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Pancha Tattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhakta Avataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam Namo Mahavananyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gauratavishe Namah. So we're hearing from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita by Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, and translations and commentary by Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And this is Madhya Lila, chapter 24, the 61 explanations of the Atmarama verse. This verse is a quotation from the Srimad Bhagavatam, very nice verse. Yenye ravindaksha vimuktam maninas tvayasta bhavad avishuddha buddhaya aruya kritshrena param tata patanti yado nadrita yushmad angraya yenye ravindaksha vimuktam maninas tvayasta bhavad avishuddha buddhaya aruya kritshrena param tata Patantyado nadrita yusmadangraya. O lotus-eyed one, those who think they are liberated in this life but are without devotional service to you are of impure intelligence. Although they accept severe austerities and penances and rise to the spiritual position, to impersonal Brahman realization, they fall down again because they neglect to worship your lotus feet. So, this verse indicates that even if one engages in some impersonal process in order to attain Brahman realization, because the nature of the soul is that the soul has activity, the soul has desires, the soul is a person, that one ultimately will become awakened from that Brahman position, the Brahmajyoti, and again come back to the only thing that one knows where personality and desires are happening is on the mundane plane. So this verse describes how persons may rise to the plane of Brahman realization, and even to coming to the level of the Brahmajyoti, since ultimately we're Tatastva Shakti, we're from that plane originally, and some souls go down, some souls go up, but ultimately one cannot remain in that plane indefinitely. Some desires will awake, and one will be forced to come back down and accept another material body to realize one's desires. So this verse, pictorially, I think of a situation long ago when I was in Panama. I would look up at the sky and I would see these buzzards. They were flying in the sky. You know, buzzards are birds that eat dead bodies, dead animals. So they're flying very high in the sky, and if you see them, they catch the wind currents. They don't even move their wings. They just soar for so long up high. But ultimately, they don't just soar in the sky. They ultimately come down to the earth, and for something so nasty as eating some dead animal that maybe has got killed in one way or another, they're eating that. And if you see them, they're actually not very attractive birds. They're somewhat ugly. So this verse reminds me of that, of looking into the sky and seeing those birds so high, but you can actually see that their position is not nice, and ultimately they're not graceful at all. They look graceful in the sky, but on the earth, not. So.
But Maharaj, if there's nothing there in that Brahman, only some slumber, right? How can a desire then come up?
Because the soul is always active. Eventually the soul will wake up. Just like one is lying at night, and eventually one wakes up in the morning. You know, you're in a slumber state, but eventually you wake up. And what wakes you up? Ultimately, some sound or something. Well, with them, those souls, they wake up to the activity of the soul. Ya esham purusham shakshad atma prabhavam ishvaram na bhajanti avajananti stanad brashta patantiyada. If one simply maintains an official position in the 4 varnas and ashramas, but does not worship the Supreme Lord Vishnu, one falls down from his puffed up position into a hellish condition. So, in the conversations which are earlier in the Madhya Leela between Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy, Mahaprabhu rejects when Ramananda Roy asked the question of, when Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Roy the question of what is the activities that a person should perform, or what is the duty of life, like that. Then Ramananda Roy replied to work within the Varnashram Dharma system, which is, we'll say, misunderstood, because Varnashram Dharma, or the Varnashramas, is according to guna and karma, according to the qualities of the individual and the work of a person. So then one naturally would have some position ideally in the Varnashram system, according to one's ashram, according to one's real Varna. But still Mahaprabhu answered that was an external consideration. It's not really activities of the soul just to engage in some prescribed duties of, ultimately Mahaprabhu says, Krishna says, Sarvadharmam parityaja mamekam sharanam vraja, that you reject that external consideration of dharma, but one has to understand one's actual position in the service of the Lord. So if one simply maintains an official position in the four varnas and ashramas but does not worship the Supreme Lord Vishnu, one falls down from his puffed up position into a hellish condition. Bhakti mukti pailena vasya krishnere bhajai. When one is actually liberated by executing devotional service, one engages in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. So the Gita says, that Brahma Bhuta Prashanatmana Shochatina Kankshati Samasarveshu Bhuteshu Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. That from actual plane of Brahma Bhuta, the liberated plane, that's where devotional service begins. Mad Bhaktim Labate Param. One will then be able to engage in devotional service. Muktapi lilaya vigraham kritva bhagavantam bhajante. Even a liberated soul merged in the impersonal Brahman effulgence is attracted to the pastimes of Krishna. One thus installs a deity and renders the Lord service. Even a liberated soul merged in the impersonal Brahman effulgence is attracted to the pastimes of Krishna. One thus installs a deity and renders the Lord service. This is a quotation from Shankaracharya's commentary on the Nrsinga Tapani Upanishad. So, there's a quote from Shankaracharya himself that says, even a liberated soul is attracted to the pastimes of Krishna and can install a deity and engage in the Lord's service. Ch.Ch Atmarama Krishnere Bhajai Pritak Pritak Chakare Iha Apira Artakai. These 6 kinds of Atmaramas engage in the loving service of Krishna. The varieties of service are indicated by adding cha, and they also bear the meaning of api, indeed. So, originally, Mahaprabhu is speaking with Sanatana Goswami, and he's explained Sambandha Abhideyam Prayojana, one's relationship with Krishna, one's engagement in the service of the Lord, and the goal of Prayojana, which is Krishna Prema Prayojana, the love of Godhead. So he's explained that. And now Sanatana Goswami, he said that, told Mahaprabhu, that I heard when you were explaining to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya the Atmarama verse, you explained it in 18 different ways. So I would like to be able to hear your explanation of the Atmarama verse. Then Mahaprabhu said to Sanatana Goswami, well, I can't really exactly remember what I told to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, but by your presence, by your inspiration, I will try to explain the Atmarama verse. And then ultimately, in this context, Mahaprabhu explains the Atmarama verse in 61 different ways. So according to, it takes the verse and talks about the word positioning and phrasing and everything. Sanskrit is such a very, we can say, very precise language. So many meanings can come from it. And Mahaprabhu was explaining all these different meanings, and he's giving examples. So purport here, there are 6 kinds of Atmaramas. The neophyte student, Shadaka, one who is absorbed in Brahman realization. So Sadhaka Brahmamoy, one who has already attained the Brahman position. Prapta Brahmaloy, one who desires to be liberated. Mumukshu, one who is liberated even in this life. Jivan Mukta, and one who is self-realized. Prapta Swarup. So different kinds of Atmaramas, and the Atmarama verses saying that they are all attracted to Krishna and hearing his pastimes, doing his service, engaged in his service. Atmaramascha api kore Krishne ahaituki bhakti munaya shanta iti Krishna manane asakti. The 6 kinds of Atmaramas render devotional service to Krishna without ulterior motives. The words munaya and shanta indicate that those who are very much attached to meditating upon Krishna. So these 2 words, munaya and santa, indicate those who are very much attached to meditating upon Krishna. Nigranta avidyahin keho vidihin jahanje jukta se artera adina. Nirgranta vidyahina keho vidihin jahanje jukta se artera adin. The word nirgranta means without ignorance and devoid of rules and regulations. Whichever meaning fits may be applied. So 2 meanings there given, nirgranta, and without ignorance, and also here it's mentioned vidihin. Vidi is vidimarg, and devoid of rules and regulations. The word nirgranta means without ignorance and devoid of rules and regulations. Whichever meaning fits may be applied. Ch.Ch. shabde kori jari itaratara arta ara ek arta kohe parama samarta. The use of the word cha in different places produces different meanings over and over and above them. There's another meaning that is very important. The use of the word cha in different places produces different meanings over and above this, over and above them. There is another meaning that is very important. Atmaramascha kori barachai panchatmaramachai chakori lupta hoy. Although the words Atmaramascha would be repeated 6 times simply by adding the word cha, 5 Atmaramas are deleted. So even though there may be different meanings of Atmaraman, you could say Atmaramascha, 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 but you can just delete all of them and just put 1 Atmaramacha, and it will include all of them. Ek Atmarama Shabda Avasesha Rohe, Ek Atmarama Shabde Chai Janako He. Therefore, there's no need to repeat the word Atmarama. 1 is sufficient, and that 1 word indicates 6 persons. So in this way, Mahaprabhu is able to, using that Atmarama's cha, he can draw so many meanings out of what is the different kinds of Atmaramas, and all of them will be included. Sarupanam ek sesha ek vibhakto uktartananam aprayoga ramascha itibat. Okay. Swarupam ek sesha eka vibhakto swarupam eka sesha ek vibhakto uktartanam aprayoga ramascha rama itibat. Of words having the same form and case termination, the last one is the only one retained. For example, the word Rama is used to stand for Ramascha, etc. Tabe Ch.Ch Kara se samuchai koi atmaramascha munayascha krishnere bhajai By the aggregate use of the word Cha, it is indicated that all the Atmaramas and saints serve and worship Krishna. Nirgrantapi ra eapi sambhavane shata arta pratame korilun bhyakyane. Api, added to the word nirgranta, is used for exposition. Thus I have tried to clarify 7 meanings of the Atmarama verse. Atmaram, Antarjami Upashaka Atmarama Koe, say Atmarama Jogir Duibeda Hoy. The yogi who worships the super soul within himself is also called Atmarama. There are 2 types of Atmarama yogis. Sagarba Nigarba Ahoy Duibed Ek Tin Bede Chai Vibed. The 2 types of Atmarama yogis are called Sagarba and Nigarba. Each of these is divided into 3. Therefore, there are 6 types of worshippers of the super soul. So there are also Atmarama yogis who worship the super soul within, and there are 2 kinds, Sagarba and Nirgarba. Those who are worshiping the Lord with form, and those who are worshiping the Lord without form. Then Mahaprabhu is saying that each one of these 2 kinds also has 3 divisions. The word Sagarba yogi refers to a yogi who worships the super soul in the Vishnu form. The Nirgarba yogi worships the super soul without form. The Sagarba and Nirgarba yogis are further categorized. Sagarba yoga rurukshu, Nirgarba yoga rurukshu, Sagarba yoga ruda, Nirgarba yoga ruda, Sagarba prapta siddhi, and Nirgarba prapta siddhi. And that's according to their level of advancement. Ch.Ch svadehanta hridaya vakashe pradesha matram purusham vasantam chaturbhujam kanja ratanga shanka gadadaram dharanaya smaranti. Some yogis think of the Lord within their hearts as measuring about 6 inches. The Lord has 4 hands, in which he holds a conch shell, club, disc, and lotus flower. Those who worship this form of Vishnu within the heart are called Sagarba yogis. Evam haro bhagavati pratilabdha bhavo bhaktya dravad dridaya utpulaka pramodat utkanja bhashpa kalayamahor arjamanas Tachapi chitta varisham shang shanakar viyungte. When one is in ecstatic love with the Supreme Personality of God, one's heart is melted by Bhakti Yoga, one feels transcendental bliss. There are bodily symptoms manifest, and due to eagerness there are tears in the eyes. Thus one is subjected to spiritual bliss. When the heart is overly afflicted, the meditative mind, like a fishing hook, is gradually separated from the object of meditation. So in the highest level of the real attainment of meditation, in other words, one attains a stage of, these are symptoms of love of Godhead, then the meditative mind, or in other words, that kind of process can be withdrawn. And one no longer is going about it under the parameters given by the mind. One has actually attained a level of advancement in the service, and one no longer has to go along with the meditative mind. Yoga rurukshu, yoga ruda, prapta siddhyar, 18 bede hoy, chaya prakar. By these three divisions of advancement in yoga, yoga rurukshu, yoga ruda, and prapta siddhi, there are 6 kinds of mystic yogis. Arurukshur munir yogam karma karanam uchate yogarudasya tashaiva shama karanam uchate. For those saintly persons who wish to rise to the platform of yogic perfection, the means consist of practicing the yoga system by strictly following its regulative principles and practicing the yoga postures and breathing exercises. And for those who are already elevated to this platform, the means consist of maintaining mental equilibrium, shama, by rejecting all material activity and practicing meditation to keep the mind on the Supreme Lord. Yada inendriyarteshu na karmas vanushujate sarvasankalpa sannyasi yogarudas tadochate. When a person is no longer interested in acting for sense gratification, and when he renounces all material desires, he is said to be liberated in perfect yoga, yogaruda. Ch.Ch yogi sadhu sangari hetupan Krishna bhaje Krishna gune akrishna haya. When a purified yogi associates with devotees, he engages in Lord Krishna's devotional service, being attracted by the Lord's transcendental qualities. Ch.Ch shabde apira arta ihanu kahaya. Pardon me. Ch.Ch shabde apira arta ihanu kahaya. Muni nirgranta shabdera purvabat arta hoy. Ch.Ch shabde apira arta ihanu kahoy. Muni nirgranta shabdera purvabat arta hoy. The meanings of the word cha and api can be applied here. The meanings of the words muni and nigranta are the same as before. Arukrame ahaituki kaham kona arta etera arta kohilun paramasamarta. The word ahaituki is always applicable to the Supreme Lord, Arukrama. In this way I have described 13 complete meanings of the Atmarama verse. The 13 meanings of the Atmarama verse mentioned here are based on the following meanings for the word Atmaram. Sadhaka, the neophyte performer. Brahmamoy, one absorbed in the thought of impersonal Brahman. Prapta Brahmaloy, one who has actually attained Brahman perfection. Mumukshu, one who desires liberation. Jivan Mukta, one who is liberated in this life. Prapta Swarup, one who has attained his original constitutional position, attained perfection. Nirgranta Muni, a completely liberated saint. Sagarbha Yoga Rurukshu, a yogi meditating upon the four-handed Vishnu form and desiring yogic perfection. Nirgarbha Yoga Rurukshu, one who is trying for perfection in impersonal meditation. Sagarbha Yoga Ruda, one who has been elevated to the platform of yogic perfection by meditating on the Vishnu form. Nirgarbha Yoga Ruda, an impersonal yogi on the platform of perfection. Sagarbha Prapta Siddhi, one who has attained the perfectional stage by meditating on the Vishnu form. 13. Nirgarbha Prapta Siddhi, one who has attained perfection by practicing impersonal meditation. So now Mahaprabhu has expanded the Atmarama verse, meaning 13 different kinds of Atmaramas. And of course, as chapter proceeds, then more examples will be given in understanding of the words of the Atmarama verse. But Mahaprabhu also explains, he'll show different kinds of applications that it will apply. And this chapter is very beautiful. It's very nice. It has so many nice things. So now I've arrived here to our West London mott. And very beautiful here, very, and their lordships.
We are
Lord
very
good.
happy you are here, Maharaj. We are very happy you are here.
Yeah. Everything is here. Everything is very nice. I came here for the inauguration of this temple, and this is what Srila Govinda Maharaj always wanted. He specifically said he wanted a place near the airport. And we are very near to the airport. And now how many years are we here?
We got this place in 2010 when we just heard we got the place and we departed from this world. You remember 2010? We just heard we got the place. And then it took 2 years it was a little bit like quiet. And then in 2012, Saraswati Devi got the service and gave me from Janardan, you make it happening here. And then from 2012, the place was,
When was the actual inauguration when so many persons came?
2014,
Okay, 2014.
5 years ago.
Huh?
5 years ago.
Yeah.
You brought Mahaprabhu from Queen Street.
I'm very fortunate to have Mahaprabhu come here and Radhagiri Dari. Actually, it came by also the mercy of Radha Shyam Sundar. So, we're very happy because we know that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he wanted the Krishna consciousness would be spread all over the world, and especially would be happy knowing that right here in London, that we have 2 centers, one in West London and one in East London on Green Street. The city is so big to go from one center to the other. Hours of travel sometime are involved just to cross the city. Does anyone have any question? You can ask the question in English or Spanish.
Did you rest well, Maharaj? Did you rest well?
Yes, very peacefully.
Many planes flying over. You hear?
No,
Not
I
yet.
didn't hear any.
Not yet. That's good.
Even when I was awake, which was, maybe there must be a certain time when so many planes don't land, right?
That they don't land?
Yes.
And that is from 12 o'clock in the night until 6 o'clock in the morning. Not so much noise. And then, according to the system, the schedule, and also the wind, you will hear. Some days, all the time, you hear them. And some days, not so much.
I know, we're so close to the airport, sometimes you can actually smell the aviation fuel. There is some days you go out into where the cars are parked and you can smell the aviation fuel from the planes. What?
I was wondering what that was. I keep asking her why it smells like propane all the time.
Like what?
Like propane.
Yeah, I think it's the aviation fuel. Sometimes the wind or something brings it here.
Interesting.
From the planes.
I heard also, I don't know if that's true, when they landing, they have to exhaust the remaining fuel. So because for the landing that is more safe instead of having a lot of fuel. I don't know.
I don't really know about that.
No, me neither. I heard that through the grapevine.
No, when that came in was when, at least I know on some flights where they have mechanical difficulties and they have to land, like when we were in Russia where they couldn't get the landing wheels down. Then they had to fly for some hours and burn off a lot of fuel and get rid of fuel because.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. But that was specifically because they thought they were going to have to land without wheels. Gurudev was on that flight.
Oh, yeah.
But at the last minute, they got the wheels to go down. There were many ambulances in the airport. And some persons were frightened. I actually was not frightened because Gurudev was on the plane, so I didn't fear anything. Being in the presence of Gurudev, I thought, no, nothing is going to happen. But a little drama.
You can give us a little bit nectar of your association with Gurudev, some remembrance, some time you spent with Gurudev, something.
Well, when Gurudev would sometimes tell different persons that they were his best friend.
You are one?
Yeah, he would sometimes say that, and then he would sometimes say, sometimes he would say that Sripad or Vaishnav Maharaj would say he's his best friend, and other times different person maybe. But I've said before, I remember when Hashapriya Prabhu went to in September, and he came back and I was surprised because I was planning on going later to see Gurudev, and Hashapriya brought back the message, Gurudev wants you to come now. So then I called Gurudev. Of course I was at things I was doing, when I called Gurudev and I said, Gurudev, I was told that you want me to come now. I was planning on coming later, but you tell me what I should do. And then he said, I think it is better if you will come now. That is, I have no one here to disturb me. So he told me to come then. And Gurudev had his way of dealing with everybody, and I think sometimes Gurudev sometimes shared things with others, and sometimes you would see he would just turn on the television, and apparently he would watch different things on the television. It was always just, one channel would always broadcast something that he would watch, Bengali programs and the news and so many things. But most of the programs, he was not very attentive to the programs. The television was just going to detain or refrain people from asking questions or engaging in conversations with him, because sometimes Gurudev just wanted to be peaceful. He didn't necessarily want to have some kind of questions going on all the time or some kind of conversation. Certain things people would say, would be troublesome if somebody would ask. If 20 people, different people would come in and everyone would ask him how he's feeling. Nobody likes to answer that question so many times. How are you today? And then we'd hear answers like going on and like that. But it's, troublesome to repeat something over and over again or hear the same question. So television would go on and people would come in, and then they would also sit on the floor, and then they would also be watching the television too. And many of the things had no importance at all. And Gurudev was, he would watch programs in India, like dealing with actually, questions about feminine hygiene and all these other things. That would be that program. And they were totally, couldn't stand that program. Gurudev would watch it. And I remember one time Gurudev went out, and it was like the 7th game of the World Series. And we were all in Gurudev's room watching that baseball game. And it was like the very end of the game, and it was between the Diamondbacks and the Yankees. And the Diamondbacks had 2 men on in the bottom of it was the bottom of the 9th inning or what. And the Yankees were ahead by 1 run, and there were 2 outs, and everything would be determined right at that moment. And at that very moment, Gurudev came in, and everyone was gathered around the TV watching the baseball game, and Gurudev grabbed the remote and switched the channel and turned on, and it was Srimati, and that program. And that Srimati had already been on in the morning, and we sat through that, and it was a repetition of the same program. And in those days there was no internet or anything, or something. It was so. Hours later, we found out the outcome of the game. And it was actually what we were wanting to happen, but Gurudev just came in and clicked off the channel. It was like kind of like telling us, don't be attached. But sometimes Gurudev would watch cricket. And by watching cricket so many times, we learned all the kind of rules of cricket. We knew how to follow cricket.
Difficult.
What?
The rules of cricket are difficult.
Yeah, well, we learned them because we saw how they were applied, and we knew who were the best batsmen on the Indian team and things like that. And Gurudev would sometimes watch cricket, and he liked cricket, so we also got to like cricket. And it's not as... I found that it's not as boring as people think, but I guess the general perspective is that it's a boring game, and it's actually not. It's like any kind of sport, but it is notable that sometimes they play for 5 days, 5 consecutive days, a match, and then sometimes it would just be a draw. After watching for 5 days, there was There was no winner. And then there were some times, and there would be when the other team would be very much ahead, and then, for instance, India would bat and they would do badly, and then they have what they call a run-on. And then India had to bat again, and if they didn't equal the total that the other team had, then the other team won. But in one of those times, India on the run-in did just incredibly, scored so many runs. And then it got down to the fifth, came down to the fifth day, and India had to get the other team out very quickly in order to win the match, or it would be a draw if the other team wasn't got out. But they did, and it was kind of a big moment. But then later, and in cricket they brought it down to the one day overs, 50 overs for each team. And then now, I haven't seen it, it's been, we don't, now that Gurudev is gone, nobody watches that. So, but now I understand they have I think, something like 40 overs each team gets. Oh no, maybe 20 overs or something, I don't know, very short. They play less, 50 overs would last all day, and now they made it even shorter. So I guess people were perceiving that this cricket goes on too long, we have to shorten it. Yeah, but that is the sport of India. They do have football, but when you go outside, go by places, you always see kids and youth, young persons playing cricket matches, sometimes playing just out in this, maybe just locally, wherever they can play, they'll be playing cricket.
Also,
Huh?
in England, it's also popular.
Yeah. One of the best teams in cricket is Australia, but I don't believe it's the most prominent sport in Australia. They're more interested in something called Australian football or something like that. Huh? Well, it's not exactly rugby. I think it's called gridiron or something like that. It's like rugby. Anyway, everyone has their different sports, and I remember even when Srila Sridhar Maharaj was present, he'd go into the mott and he'd hear so many persons would be sitting there with these transistor radios listening to the match. So even from Srila Sridhar Maharaj's time, people would be listening, although Srila Sridhar Maharaj wasn't listening specifically. Maybe sometime he and Govinda Maharaj would listen to a radio, I don't know.
And who was listening then? The devotees from India?
Yeah, devotees in the mott from India, they would be listening. And sometimes you'd lie down at night in Navadip, you'd lie down at night, it'd be like 10:30, and all of a sudden from the windows you'd hear and that wouldn't even just be the mott, that would be in the surrounding area. People would be shouting if India won or something like that. So it was really interesting. But the main point I was saying is how actually a lot of the time Srila Govinda Maharaj just turned on the TV to quiet everybody. It was just his way of saying, today I don't want you to be answering and hearing questions all day long. So now we'll just sit. And it was strange because we're more addicted to television than Gurudev was. Even though he turned on the TV, we would watch it and he would be oblivious. And sometimes when he came to the West, we showed, I remember one time of course, there are certain movies that Gurudev liked. We liked when the movie Lagan came on. He was very much like that movie, how India defeated England when India was just a bunch of villagers and they beat them at their own game. And then he liked and that movie has some romantic aspect where one English woman, she falls in love with one of the Indian villagers who is very good in rugby, but he already has, like, his promised person in the village, someone, and then that woman goes back to England, and at the end it mentioned, like Radharani, she always thought of this person, and she never married. But, it was, of course, that was a little too much, but, it was there in the movie. Gurudev watched that. And then when he came to Sokel, I showed Gurudev the movie Terminator 2. And he watched that movie. And sometimes he'd watch it, and then sometimes he'd walk out of the room for about 10, 15 minutes, and then he'd come back in the room and watch the movie. And then he told us afterwards, he said, and who can forget that scene where to show him that he's a robot or something, a good robot, a friendly robot. He cuts skin up here around his arm, and then here, slits down his whole arm, and then peels off the skin. You can see it's all mechanical things moving in the fingers. And Gurudev said, who could forget that scene? Which isn't, necessarily a major scene in the movie. It's just where he's showing that person who wants that person to destroy the work so that it won't come to the point of the menace of the Terminators and the guy who's working there. So he shows him he's from the future and shows him he's a machine, and then that person helps him and destroys the whole laboratory. And I think in the process, the person destroys himself. That person, but anyway, it was mundane things, but sometimes because Gurudev watched it, we felt it was like a special thing.
Got that whole atmosphere.
But Gurudev, as I said, sometimes he'd watch it, sometimes he'd walk out of the room and then come back in 10 minutes and then watch it. But he was more or less watching it to please us too, These were activities that we did together. Not everything with Gurudev. With Guru Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj had his own particular nature, and then you would go up to the balcony, especially towards the end. You could go up to the veranda, and you could offer dandavats to Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Sridhar Maharaj. You would offer, that was towards the end, and you would offer dandavats and go back downstairs. And but the Bengalis weren't even allowed. They weren't allowed to go upstairs. It's only because the Westerners had come so far that they could go up there, up onto the veranda and see Guru Maharaj for a minute or so and offer dandavats and then go back downstairs.
And Srila Guru Maharaj would sit outside on that outside bit? Or more?
Usually would sit outside.
Until until what? And he would sometimes speak?
Pardon me?
And he would sometimes speak to the devotees, the Western devotees?
That was earlier, not so much towards the very end. Maybe in earlier years, when Guru Maharaj spoke so many books was in 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, something like that. But towards the end, 1987, 88, that wasn't speaking so much.
So like 2 years before he opened it.
Yeah. Guru Maharaj and Govinda Maharaj had one dog named Jimmy. And sometimes, Jimmy. And sometimes that dog would go upstairs. But Guru Maharaj didn't see so well. And then sometimes when he was sitting in his room, like Jimmy came into the room and ran under Guru Maharaj's bed. But Guru Maharaj didn't see so much at the time. His eyes weren't so good. And he said to Govinda Maharaj, Jimmy, he indicated it. And then Govinda Maharaj, took the dog out. But he, by the sound, he knew that Jimmy was there.
The world has changed so quick, so much. But from your time, first with Swami Maharaj, then Guru Maharaj, with Guru Maharaj, then Srila Govinda Maharaj in India. So much change.
Yeah, often what we would see, Guru Maharaj would be there and Guru Maharaj would be speaking and sometimes speaking different things. And sometimes Govinda Maharaj would be sitting there and he'd be reading the Bengali newspaper while Guru Maharaj was talking. And then if Guru Maharaj started to speak about something that was very, very interesting, then Govinda Maharaj would put down the newspaper and listen to what Guru Maharaj was saying. But if it was just something general that Govinda Maharaj had heard before in some explanation, then he might be reading the Bengali newspaper. Anyway, we could stop now. It's late. Sing Hari Harai. So many things happened in those years. And you mentioned Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj. Like, I lived in India for years then too, for about 4 years. When Srila Prabhupada spent maybe 7 up to 8 months in those days. After India was established in, say, mission in India was established, beginning, in other words, say in end of 1970 when they went to Gujarat. Then 71 for end of 74 I lived in India. And I lived there happily because Srila Prabhupada was there 7-8 months of the year. And often I'd be in the place where Prabhupada was and I'd just go into his room and just sit there for 2-3 hours sometimes. And whatever Prabhupada wanted to speak about, or if he didn't want to speak about, and sometimes he would talk to me and things like that. It was very nice. And that was kind of that relationship also with Govinda Maharaj. Less with Guru Maharaj because I came late and it wasn't so much the mood. You would sit in a room and talk with Guru Maharaj. He'd talk about different subjects that they'd record and make and that Goswami Maharaj and Sagar Maharaj and Mahananda, they would make into books. But it wasn't so much you didn't go into Guru Maharaj's room, he'd be out on the veranda. But with Govinda Maharaj, previously with Prabhupada also, be in his room and sitting for time, and he'd talk with the devotees in his room. So
in which place in India you were with Srila Prabhupada?
Pardon me?
In In which place in India?
Well, many places actually. Sometimes we were stationed in one place and Prabhupada would spend some months there, but it was with Prabhupada in Mumbai, which is in those days Bombay, then with Prabhupada in Calcutta, and sometimes in Mayapur, and sometimes in Delhi, and sometimes in Vrindavan. Then the last year and a half, I was in Hyderabad in South India and Andhra Pradesh. And sometimes Prabhupada came there and spent some time and they had Pando programs in different places. Prabhupada would have a Pando program in the different places, like in Mumbai and I think it was Cross Maidan and other places also. And then in Kolkata, it was in Esplanade, and then in Deshapriya Park, and in Delhi, I think it was Tilakadora or something like that, gardens where they had a Pando program. Then in Vrindavan at the Radha Damodar temple, and in Hyderabad at Hyderabad there, Prabhu would visit. And the Hyderabad temple was donated by one man, I think it was named Pulaka Reddy or something like that. And he had a sweet shop right across from the temple. And we didn't go there and buy sweets, but sometimes we maybe went there. But Prabhupada came there and there were Pando programs there too. And then I went with Prabhupada to Tirupati. Actually, I got sent ahead to arrange for Prabhupada in Tirupati, but I was by myself and I arranged it. It came out really good, so I was happy with that. And Prabhupada visited there. They really showed some honor to Prabhupada. It was very nice. But like that with Prabhupada and Govinda Maharaj, Guru Maharaj, but with Prabhupada and Govinda Maharaj, you could sometimes spend time in their room and just, the devotees would go into Govinda, in Kolkata, Govinda Maharaj had a big room in the Sevak Pavan. Many devotees go in there. So, Hari Haraya Nama Krishna Jarabaya Nama Jarabaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Nama Gopal Govinda Ram Shri Madhusudan Giridhari Gopinatha Madana Mohan Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Janardan Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Rupa Sanatan Bhakta Raguna Shri Jiva Gopala Bhatta Rasa Raguna Jai Gosai Kori Charana Bandhan Jao Ete Vignana Samishta Puran Jai Gosai Jarmui Charana Bar Pada Renu Mora Panchaga Kader Charana Sevi Bhakta Sanibas Janame Janame More Abhilas Echai Gosai Jabe Braje Koilabas Radha Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakash Anande Bolo Hari Bhaja Vrindavan Shri Guru Vaishnava Pade Madhya Aman Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriya Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamana Shri Guru Vaishnava Pad Padma Koriya Harinam Sankirtana Kohe Naratamana Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Nitai Gora Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo, Hari Bo. Jai Saparikara Shishi Guru Gauranga Radha Giridhari Jo Ki Jai. Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Sundar Radha Giridhari Jo Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rakshidhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur ki jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Jayam Vishnupad Srila Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Thakur ki jai. Jayam Vishnupad Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Srila Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj ki jai. Rupanuga Guru Varga ki jai. Namachari Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Shri Rupa Sanatana Bhatta Raghunashi Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dasha Raghunash Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Premzigo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasani Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Jai Srila Jai Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj Goswami Prabhu ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Bhagavad ki jai. Narottam Srinivas Shamananda Prabhu ki jai. Vishvaparanya Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Chaitanya London Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ki jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Govardhan Sham Kana Radha Kunda Kalindi Yamuna Jo ki jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. All the assembled devotees ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.
Sripad Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki jai.